This is my miniature, I call it the mini sampler. And I made this quilt after I drew the patterns that I saw on my friend Sue Nicholson's miniature quilt. And her quilt was what we used to design our big full-size quilt called Michigan Medley. And they were done for our quilt retreat with the theme was samplers. And I just decided I wanted to make a reproduction of my dear friend's miniature and had a great time. I was telling people that I did a little hexie block that I think, I don't know how you measure it, but maybe quarter-inch, half-inch, really, really small. And I said, that's my hexies, I'm done with those. I had fun making that little block, but I think have made enough hexies for my life. All the rest of them were kind of a challenge. There's tiny pieced blocks in this, some applique, which I did machine applique. But I just think it's a nice little tribute to my friend, Sue. Pink Elephants on Parade were made from designs in my coloring book, A Miniature World. And I wanted to do that. You could color these, but you could also turn them into little quilts. There's the elephant. So this is the actual size of the drawing, 10-inch square. And I just think they're just cute as could be. The elephant is all silk fabrics, embellished background. I have always been interested in little things. When I was young, a little girl, I loved making clothes for my Barbie dolls. I learned how to knit on size 1 needles and made little sweaters for Barbies. I just have always been attracted to little things. So when I was making quilts, I was making big size quilts, and then I thought, it might be fun to make a small quilt. So I started kind of doing some designs, and I remember one of my miniatures got into Paducah, and it won a ribbon, maybe 3rd place. And I was so thrilled because it was machine applique. And miniatures is a really competitive category. They're every possible technique. They're pieced, whole cloth, applique. I mean, I really don't know how the judges judge because there's so many different techniques and styles. So I was thrilled that my little machine applique miniature, because at that time the applique was all tiny needle turn applique, and so I was thrilled that the judges acknowledged that machine applique was worthy. So this is my little miniature called Pink Elephants, and it is a twin to another little miniature called Pink Elephants 2, T-O-O. That quilt won Best Miniature at the 2010 AQS show. And I decided I just needed to have a second one, because the other one lives in the museum. And this one is actually I made for my daughter Emmy, who has always loved elephants. So she keeps saying, Mom, when am I going to get my quilt? When I'm done showing it off to people. Again, I've embellished the background in some parts of it before I put the applique on. It has a really pretty lacy trim around the edge. And when I add those trims around the edge, I have usually finished off the quilt by doing kind of a knife edge where you turn the front and the back end and then by hand whip stitch it. And then the lace or trim is just top stitched right along the edge around the quilt. I remember going, when I was in India, looking out we're in the coach driving from one place to the other, and there's all these lovely people out working in the fields, and the women are in saris that are these pinks and golds and greens and just beautiful colors. Well, a lot of my quilts, the fabrics are just solids. There's so much applique and thread work that I kind of creating my own fabric. So it's not that hard. I always said, though, I think I need to design a line of solids for the miniatures because it would be nice to have a very fine cotton, but then I started using silk, so that kind of works too. This one's all cotton. It helps to have really good sharp scissors, and as I said, I use a little magnifier so that I'm But sometimes you get to the point where it's such a tiny little piece that I'm using tweezers to hold the shape as I'm cutting it out with my scissors. And that comes from my background. I worked in a lab, and we used all kinds of tools and equipment. And when I was starting to do these, I thought, how am I going to hold on to this? Oh, reverse action tweezers. And it works great. Well, thank you for coming to our exhibit. We hope you enjoyed it and learned a little bit more about Pat and Sue.
And we would like to say thank you to AQS for supporting quilters, supporting us over the years, and we are just thrilled to have this exhibit at all the AQS shows in 2025.
Yay, thank you.
Perfect placement for the perfect project. The Bernina Pinpoint Laser marks your start and travel points as you sew and embroider. Feel the joy of precision and control.